Welcome to Impact Signals, social impact at the scale of AI. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Sarah. Today's a big one. The India AI Impact Summit is wrapping up its final day, and some of the announcements this week have been genuinely significant for humanitarian operations.
Let's start with the World Food Program, because the numbers are brutal. WFP's Deputy Executive Director, Carl Scow, stood up at the summit and said, 318 million people face acute hunger across 68 countries. That's triple from 5 years ago. And here's the kicker. WFP funding is down 40% since 2025.
So you've got demand tripling while budgets crater. That's the context for why WFP's Chief Data Officer said AI tools could improve their operational efficiency by 30 to 50%. This isn't optimization for its own sake. It's the difference between reaching people and not reaching them.
And they're not just talking about it. WFP showcased 5 production AI systems at the summit. The standout is their Anaporti grain ATMs, biometric dispensers that give 24/7 food access. They're scaling nationally across India and expanding into Nepal.
The scale is staggering. Their route optimization system serves India's public distribution network, 800 million beneficiaries, 600,000 shops. They've also got smart warehouses with real-time sensors, tracking moisture, pests, and stock levels. These are production systems serving hundreds of millions of people, not proofs of concept.
Google also made a major play. Their largest ever social impact commitment, over $75 million total.
The big ones, a $30 million AI for Government Innovation Challenge, applications open until April 3rd, and a $30 million AI for Science Impact Challenge, deadline April 17th. Plus a new climate technology center with India's principal scientific advisor.
Those April deadlines are concrete action items for anyone listening. If you're working on AI for public services or climate resilience, those challenge funds are live now.
Pivoting to recovery stories, and we have 2 strong ones today. In Cameroon's far north, the UN Surf Climate Action Account is funding something genuinely new. Instead of emergency shelter kits, they're building permanent climate-resilient homes, and the displaced families are building them themselves.
That's in the Lagone and Chari department, where 2024 floods affected over 356,000 people. In Minawawa refugee camp, 80,000 residents, surf-funded boreholes enabled climate-adaptive farming. Refugees there harvested over 50 tons of sorghum and millet.
That's what recovery actually looks like. Displaced families building their own permanent homes. Refugee farmers feeding their communities. SURF's Climate Action Account is a new funding mechanism that explicitly bridges the humanitarian development gap. Worth watching.
Second recovery story, Indonesia. Parliament allocated $128 million for post-disaster recovery in Sumatra after floods and landslides wiped 29 villages completely off the map.
Full relocation required. And the Education Ministry needs another $142 million just for school reconstruction. But here's the systemic angle. These floods are forcing an accountability reckoning. Permits revoked, lawsuits filed, state takeover threatened against companies whose deforestation made the disaster worse. If AI satellite monitoring had been deployed earlier, some of this damage might have been preventable.
Now for something different. Chile's National Center for AI just released Latam-GPT, the first open-source large language model built specifically for Latin America. 70 billion parameters, trained on over 230 billion words of Spanish and Portuguese.
This matters for disaster response because humanitarian communications in Latin America happen in Spanish and Portuguese. But those languages make up only about 6% of typical training data for large language models. Latam-GPT was built by 30-plus universities across 8 countries for just $550,000. They're planning to add indigenous languages next. An open, culturally grounded model enables crisis message classification, needs assessment chatbots, and humanitarian MLP that actually works for affected populations.
2 more quick hits. Tropical Cyclone Gazani, one of the most intense landfalls ever recorded in Madagascar's satellite era. 250 km/h winds, 25,000 homes destroyed, at least 63 dead. The EU activated Copernicus Emergency Management Service for satellite damage mapping.
And in Mozambique, soils were already saturated from prior flooding before the cyclone hit. That compound disaster scenario is exactly where AI early warning systems prove their value.
Finally, and this is grim, 57 people killed in drone strikes across Sudan's Kordofan region in just 2 days. UNICEF confirmed 15 children died when a drone hit a displacement camp.
Sudan's civil war has displaced 11 million people and triggered famine conditions. The targeting of displacement camps with drones it's a devastating inversion. The same technology that could protect civilians being used against humanitarian infrastructure. It underscores why civilian protection tech, including AI-based early warning in conflict zones, is so urgent.
Before we go, 2 funding deadlines to put in your calendar. Google's AI for Government Innovation Challenge, April 3rd. AI for Science Impact Challenge, April 17th. Links in the show notes.
And the AAAI Spring Symposium on AI for Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Relief is April 7th through 9th in Burlingame, California. If you're working at this intersection, that's the room to be in.
That's Impact Signals for Thursday, February 19th, 2026. If this briefing is useful, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out at impactsignals.ai and share it with someone working in the field.
Stay ready.